beings hate making decisions.
We're doing just fine.
If you're going to be successful, if you're going to become a better man,
you got to take care of yourself.
You know, that thing called life calls, and you've got to do something about it.
A bottle of wine again.
There are times when you just think, fuck it, I just want to quit. Got to learn to do the exact opposite.
Starting today.
What is conversion rate optimization? It's just kind of an obsession with testing.
Start small, think big.
So that's it. Thank you and good night. This has been Take Traction. You're welcome. Have I got to speak now? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Take Traction Show. Thank you for joining us as always. First off, heads up, I've had a bit of a rough couple of days these past few days. I'm recording this intro a little while after recording today's podcast. I've had food poisoning last night and been down with a bit of a fever all day, so you'll have to excuse me if I'm not quite in my perkiest of moods today, but nonetheless, we still have some great content coming up for you today. Today's feature is going to be a very interesting one for you, and we'll kind of go over that in another little introduction alongside Christian in just a moment when we jump into the podcast. But today's feature is really all about it's about how you can win more business easily through Upwork. And really, a lot of the tips that we give in today's episode apply to anything, getting any kind of work or selling anything in general, selling a product, an opinion, a service, whatever it may be, whether you're applying to a job interview or whether you are trying to close a contract for as a freelancer, whatever it may be, there are going to be some really useful tips in there today. Christian and I have been essentially working as freelancers, offering services for the past couple of years. Before that, we've been running our own businesses, doing different things. And in those couple of years, we've really learned some really powerful tricks to kind of close business almost every time and make sure that we really get those results, and make sure that we're not wasting time chasing business, because that can be incredibly resource consuming. And right now, what we want to be focusing on, and what we guess you want to be focusing on as well, is that side hustle, that growing that other business, and ultimately your 9 to 5, whatever it may be, whether you work in a full-time job, you're looking for another full-time job that may be a little bit more lenient, or whether you're looking to become a freelancer so you can free up some more of that time. It's going to be incredibly important to have control over closing those contracts and getting new business at the end of the day. And so today we've got a few really cool tricks coming up for you, tricks and tips, I suppose. So without further ado, enjoy the show. Cristiano Brea, my friend, how you doing?
Busy week, Charlie. It's been crazy this past 3 weeks, I guess, with the product launch and everything else we've been doing so far.
Yeah, been really hectic. Super hectic. I'm good. I'm struggling today for everyone out there. I have had a fever all night last night, and I think I have food poisoning. So it's a bit of a struggle to be thinking straight this morning. So I think this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter podcast episode. Nonetheless, we still have some pretty interesting stuff coming up for you. We've got some Opinews coming up this morning. Quite a few different interesting things coming out this morning. Some advances with, what have we got? We got
Walmart.
Walmart making further investments in different countries. We've got Patreon acquiring new companies to expand its kind of membership subscription services. We've got some reporting on the usage of Alexa for shopping, which is kind of interesting and not surprising at all to me. We've got some advances on Facebook business pages. Facebook trying to make some improvements since natural or organic news feed reach has gone so low over the past couple of years. We've got a new startup company trying to help people save money on their contact lenses, which is interesting to me because I wear contact lenses every single day. And we've got a new robot called AlphaBot, I think, for Walmart grocery picking, basically, for people who order their groceries online. So A few different interesting things coming up there. We'll dive into those in just a moment. And after that, we'll be jumping into our feature for today's episode, which is how to beat 90% of the competition on Upwork. And the reason we really want to dive into that is because we have, when you're starting a new business, you need to have the financial support to be able to continue investing your time and money into your side hustle, into your new business. For many people, that is that they will continue working their regular job, their 9 to 5, and they'll work evenings and things on their new businesses. Christian and I have been very fortunate to be able to work as freelancers and really have much more control over our time, and our money, I suppose, through using platforms such as Upwork. Now, the truth is we haven't really used Upwork for probably the past 7 or 8 months, to be honest. But it certainly was a great source of leads for us early on in our marketing days or selling our marketing services. And we really found quite an amazing way to win loads of business. We had a load of success, and we certainly didn't struggle with getting business on Upwork. So we want to go through. At some point,
I think I remember we had so many leads. We had to filter them and just pick the ones we thought were better.
Yeah. So there's, so we've got a few little techniques that we want to share with you guys today. And really that's going to be, if you are someone that's either considering switching over to freelancing instead of, quitting your 9 to 5 job and what's becoming a freelancer so that you can have more time to be able to work on your side hustle, then it's going to be really useful for you. At the same time, if you're already working on Upwork or you're, if you work on various freelance platforms, this should be it should be really, a really good way to be able to boost your lead generation, I suppose.
And probably your, hourly rate.
Well, this is the thing as well. With more, the more demand you have for your services, the higher you can push your rates, right? So if you've got a bunch of different people wanting to work for you, then it's much easier for you to raise your rates, and not have to worry about losing business as a result of it. So, which will ultimately give you more free time because you'll be working less for the same amount of money, and therefore you'll be able to invest more time into your side hustle. So, bit of a different one, again today. We've done a couple of, episodes or a couple of features on kind of freelancing and stuff like that. So hopefully this one will be useful for those out there who are interested in doing it or already doing it. There'll be some useful tips in there. So indeed, with that said, let's jump straight into some Opinews. Dun 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 dun. All right. So first up today, what have we got, Christian? We got Walmart co-leads $500 million investment in Chinese online grocery service. Doja.
Whoa, mate.
Who knows?
That's a hard name to pronounce.
So this is kind of interesting because Walmart kind of pulled out of China back in 2016 when it sold its e-commerce business over there. But it seems that they're now teaming up with an e-commerce firm called JD.com. I'm intrigued because I thought there's a company called JD Sports in Europe. And it seems like they've kind of, I'm guessing it has absolutely nothing to do with it. No, JD.com is certainly a very, very Chinese website if you go to it. So they've teamed up with JD.com, which seems to be a kind of Amazon-like website, to be honest, or a Walmart-like website, an e-commerce marketplace. So kind of interesting to see that they're jumping back into China. I'm kind of amazed, Christian, by how these large companies like Amazon and Walmart at the moment can be spreading themselves so thin or can be investing in so many countries. Because surely you want to reserve all of they've got to have big amounts of capital, right?
it's probably they have a lot of money saved somewhere, money that they have never spent, and money for investments, and that's how
right,
they keep themselves on the market.
My thinking is that surely you'd want to have as much reserve capital as possible. If you're a company like Walmart and you're trying to take over India at the moment, or take over the e-commerce market in India, then surely you're going to want to have as much reserve capital as possible to make sure you really dominate that one thing. I just see these guys spreading themselves so thin by trying to attack so many different markets at the same time. And I wonder whether, at least with Walmart, I wonder whether they'll actually see success in any market if they continue with this kind of international approach at the moment.
Well, I think it's they're taking this spend to survive approach. They got to compete with Amazon. Amazon is spreading all over the globe, and if Walmart wants to keep up.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, but I guess so. I'd be interested to see whether they switch the branding of JD, because it doesn't seem that they haven't acquired JD. They've just invested 500 million into the company. JD is an online to offline grocery business. So I have no idea. I think that's pretty much it. Walmart is already part of the service. It has 200 stores across 30 Chinese cities on the Dada JD Daojia service, as well as 5 online stores on the core JD.com platform. And now it is getting into the business itself via this investment. So it seems that they're going to go through the back door here and not launch Walmart in various countries, but rather focus on acquiring companies under the existing brand name. So if you think of Flipkart in India, I don't think there's any intention of changing the name to Walmart in India. I think they're sticking with Flipkart. And I guess the same here with JD in China. So it'll be interesting to see where they start to get some results, because at the moment it just seems like it's spend, and I'm wondering when they'll start earning. We shall see.
From what we know, they're on a loss.
Exactly.
Going on a loss.
True. Yeah.
We shall see.
On that note, this isn't something we had in this week's Opinews, but I do want to mention it very quickly. Apple this week has become the first $1 trillion company, which I think is worthwhile highlighting. There are a lot of, we've gone through a couple of articles this morning, regarding, Apple being so stingy on, cutting back on all their products and stuff, and cutting corners.
There are a lot of people bashing on, Apple, including me. In the past, I've bashed Apple so many times, but you know what? They made $1 trillion. So
yes, but it does get frustrating when they make $1 trillion out of millions of people, when you as an individual have to deal with crappy quality products as a result of it. Having all the cable problems. There's just so many different problems with Apple products, and the problem is they know that their hardware and software now is so good and so powerful that people aren't going to go anywhere. But it's frustrating that they take advantage of that fact and cut corners on products.
And I think they go with it just because they have so much money. If people start moving to different, going to different, other companies, they might just start invest and get those people back.
What do you mean? If people start going, oh, right, okay,
the competitors and buy, Samsung's products instead of Apple's.
Excuse me.
So if that happens, then probably they'll invest a lot of money in a big marketing stunt, and they'll get everyone back hooked on the Apple juice.
I don't know. But we did read that they had 243 billion in cash. Right, in cash, available capital.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
Let's move on to this article here on Patreon. We've got Patreon has acquired a company called Memberful. So it seems that Memberful, basically Patreon, for those who don't know, is a platform. I don't know too much about it, but I've always been really intrigued by it because it's a platform where you can essentially your best fans or your fans in general, let's say you've got a YouTube channel, or even if you've got a podcast or even just a blog, you can get people to pay for a subscription to your blog or your YouTube channel or whatever. And in return, they'll get notifications and all that kind of stuff when you release new content, and they'll get premium content as well. So it kind of works like, if you think of like YouTube Red or something like that, where you got YouTube where you got the normal content, and you got YouTube Red where you got the premium content. This does the same thing, but it puts the control into the creator's hands. Now, interestingly, Patreon has their own platform. And so if you want to get subscribers and things like that, you'd always have to do it through Patreon. The subscriber would have to go onto Patreon and subscribe to your service and sign up to pay for your service and all the rest of it through the Patreon platform. However, they've just acquired Memberful, which is essentially the same thing, but it is an application or a plugin, I suppose, that allows people to receive or accept subscriptions through their own website. So you could just
a white labeled subscription.
Exactly. A white label subscription membership. So I think it's just a much more cleaner branded way for you to be able to do it. Memberful seems to be a really small company. Apparently they've got 7 employees and 500 paying, users. So it's very small, but with Patreon's reach and existing market share, they'll obviously be able to take Memberful to a whole new level. The reason this is so interesting to me, this kind of new market, is because it removes the necessity for creators to use adverts in order to monetize their content. And I think that we're moving towards an advert-free world, with regards to content, at least. Maybe not moving towards an advert-free world, but I think it's been one of the only ways for people to monetize their content, whether it's video, whether it's audio, whether it's written content. It's been the only way really to monetize it, for the past, 15, 20 years online. And now we're looking at the potential of being able to monetize in new ways with kind of, people who are much more dedicated to the content creators and are willing to actually spend money on them, to support them creating more and more content. So I think that'll be interesting. And I think we'll also be seeing that, I think another step towards moving away from advert-based monetization will be the use of cryptocurrencies. There are a lot of interesting platforms out there. I can't think of the names off the top of my head now, but I know there are a couple of interesting platforms out there that were trying to do similar things to it's not similar to Patreon, but they're using cryptocurrencies to help people monetize content. I wish I could think of this company. I don't know if you've heard of this, Christian. It's actually kind of interesting. Let me see if I can.
I don't think I've heard of it.
Let me see if I can explain how it works. So basically, you have a platform. Let's say we're just talking about videos, right? In the same way you'd use YouTube videos. So if someone creates a video, so let's say there are 10,000 coins, right, for this crypto. So the platform has its own cryptocurrency, and there are 10,000 coins, and there can never be more than 10,000 coins, just as an example. And every like is worth a percentage of the coins. So depending on the total number of likes on the platform, obviously the number of coins that one like is worth goes down because there are more and more likes. But because the demand for these coins goes up as more and more content creators join the platform, and that more and more creators create more content, the perceived value of the coin also increases, giving the content creators value or a way to monetize their content without having to use adverts, or for the viewers or consumers of the content to have to pay at all. So it literally removes it's a kind of, I wish I knew more about it. That's kind of the basics of it. And I'm sure there's more information out there, but, essentially it means that you don't have to pay for the content and the content creators don't have to use adverts to monetize. So it's a completely clean, content platform that, people can earn money from, through the cryptocurrency within the platform.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it could be. It sounds really, really interesting, that stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of intrigued to see where that goes. So anyway, back to Patreon. It should be interesting to see how Patreon develops this. And I think Memberful really is, Memberful is a much more, desirable way to monetize your content because it's white labeled. But obviously I think a platform like Memberful would be much more difficult to grow because it's essentially a plugin or something you can add to your website. By the way, this will be literally a plugin for WordPress. So you could very easily add it to your WordPress website and collect members, for your content. I think it's much more difficult to grow a white label plugin type platform than it is to grow a centralized platform like Patreon. So now that Patreon has created this centralized platform and grown its subscriber or its user base, switching over to Memberful will be pretty simple, I think. And they'll have the kind of, the influence or the due to being as established as they are now, they'll be able to push Memberful and take it to the next level. So I think that'd be really interesting.
Indeed.
Next up. No one's buying things through Alexa.
That's no surprise to anyone, at least not to me or you, I guess.
There's not really much need to hang around on this for long, but I think it's interesting. There's been a report from The Information. It's called The Information, must be the reporting company. And it reveals that basically very few people are actually using Alexa for shopping. Alexa and all these smart home hubs, including Siri and Google Home and whatever else, have had so many promises for so many years of how useful they're going to be, how we're going to completely depend on them to run our homes and all this kind of stuff. And they just don't seem to be going anywhere. And I really doubt whether they'll take off or not. If they do, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually none of the ones that we're currently using today, such as Siri, Alexa, or Google Home. I think we'll have some kind of revolutionary startup come over and dominate the market by innovating in a new way and taking it in a different direction. Because,
well, I guess the next step would be adding a display. People want to see the products they will buy.
Well, this is the problem. But that's only in reference to the shopping, which is what we're talking about here anyway. But I just mean in general, I just think they're pretty useless products. They're basically speakers. I don't understand why you wouldn't just buy a speaker, and use Siri on your phone or something like that. Anyway, the result is that Amazon released the ability for users to be able to shop through Alexa. So you could say to Alexa, "Hey, Alexa, buy me some more toilet paper or whatever, or washing up liquid or something like that." And Alexa will go and place the order through Amazon and you'd have it delivered to you the next day or something like that. Now, it seems that out of 50 million Alexa users, only about 100,000 reportedly bought something via the voice interface more than once, which is a tiny percentage of the total number of users. So it seems that it just isn't really taking off at all. I think that's about all there is to say on that. There's not really much need to go into any more detail.
That's that.
When will we see them take off? That's the question. And
add
how?
Add a display on these puppies, and I guess things will change.
Well, I guess so. I think so. Surely it'd be the integration of kind of an iPad with, but that's what iPads are for. I think you do need a screen though. I think you're right. We need visual. We can't just
projection or a 3D projection, something that,
Who's gonna purchase things through a voice activated system when they can't even see the products?
They can't even read the reviews, make sure they're all real. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, I agree. So that's that. Moving on. We've got Facebook redesigning their business pages for utility as feed reach declines. This is an article from TechCrunch here. But it seems that, due to the reach, due to the Facebook page reach declining, which apparently it dropped 52% in just the first half of 2016 as an example, which is a massive drop in just half a year. And as you can probably imagine, since then, it's been a couple of years and we've probably seen a much further drop. So if you compare your organic reach from 2014 to the organic reach in 2018, it's probably just a fraction of the reach that you used to get. Now, lots of people are kind of conspiring that is in order to force businesses to spend money on the advertising platform in order to increase their reach.
Or even more money, because I remember, I guess it was less than a year ago, a guy spent a lot of money. I think he's mentioned something about $500,000 or something like that. And, he acquired a lot of followers.
Mm-hmm.
Followers that he could not reach after these updates and these drops in reach.
Right, but I'm talking about not spending money on getting followers, but spending money on promoting each of your posts.
Indeed, but the reach goes to the followers as well, because if you spend money to get those followers, why can't I reach all of them? That's why I spend money. See where I'm getting from?
Well, because then you can, once you've got the followers, you can then spend money on promoting your posts to your own followers, which, but I mean, here's the problem, right? It doesn't matter if you've got 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. The organic reach is going to be the same. It's going to be less, with regards to percentages. So up until now, people have had to spend money on getting followers and then spend money on promoting each of their posts to their existing followers as well in order to reach them or share their message with their followers. Now, Facebook is saying that this is just a consequence of the increased demand on the platform, the saturation on the platform, the fact that there are more and more business pages on the platform. Therefore, it is impossible with more and more users and more companies trying to promote their content, it's impossible for that extra content to all fit into the same amount of space on a news feed. Therefore, it's just been a natural process that's made it more and more difficult to get organic reach.
Although they did increase the number of users each year.
What do you mean?
Well, they've increased each year. They got more people to use Facebook as well. So I don't get the plateauing demand.
Right, but it doesn't matter, because if you've got 10,000 followers in 2018 or you've got 10,000 followers in 2014, you've still got the same number of followers.
Indeed.
Yeah, I see what you mean though. I see what you mean. I guess that means it's easier to get more followers, but with the same number of followers, your reach is still less. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Facebook has decided to spice up their business pages, and apparently they're going to be redesigning the pages of 80 million small businesses on its platform and the 1.6 billion people connected to those pages. So it will be adding a bunch of new features that will basically make Facebook pages much more of a kind of, much more of a, basically, I suppose, kind of like having your own website, much more of a storefront for businesses. So there'll be features that will allow people to make appointments through Facebook, call options for salons, reservations, and menus for restaurants. They'll be able to list all their menus. They'll be increasing the minimum characters for reviews, the minimum number of characters to 25. So I think there's been no minimum up until now. I think people could literally leave. I think I remember having with one of my Facebook pages that you can have you can have a 5-star review, but people don't even have to leave a comment. So people just leave the star rating and then not leave a comment. Now it's going to be obligatory to have a 25 character minimum for reviews, which will help increase kind of the quality of the page as well. They're going to have related pages to make other businesses more discoverable within Facebook. So that'll be based, I guess, on. Why is that?
Well, what if you own a restaurant and then people land on your website and they'll see related pages with a restaurant near you? That's
well, yes, but that works in your favor as well. Because what if someone's looking at a different restaurant and they discover you? It basically makes pages more discoverable, which we haven't had. So it that is a new way to get organic reach, essentially.
Indeed.
Right. If you are a business in Manhattan, if you're a restaurant in Manhattan and you've got great reviews on your page and you've got great content on there, Facebook knows that. Obviously they want to promote good content and they want to promote good businesses. Then someone who's visiting another, maybe it's not even a restaurant. Maybe they're looking at a business for, an organic food store in the same area in Manhattan. Then that restaurant is going to come up as a recommendation, therefore giving much more organic reach for Facebook pages, which is cool. It's a new way. It's a different way to get reach.
Would this be a game changer though? Would this help increase the reach?
Well, one of the things I think has always been a big problem with Facebook is the discoverability of anything really. If someone isn't paying to put it in front of your eyes, then it's not discoverable, right? You don't just randomly see information about an event on Facebook. You don't just randomly discover information about a restaurant or any Facebook page. No, people have to pay to promote their content. They have to have selected a specific audience or demographic or an interest group to display their post to or their page to. And if you just so happen to be in that demographic, then you will see it. But what if you as the user want to have more control over what you see? So if you search for something like organic food store in Manhattan, then you want to be able to go down the rabbit hole and discover new things in the same way you do with YouTube. You know, you search for something on YouTube and you start seeing different videos that are all related. Yeah. We have it on websites with products. We select a product that we like and then they give us recommendations based on that product. Facebook just hasn't ever done that. And I think that's...
Indeed, I see it now. And indeed, this is a really cool move.
I think Facebook hasn't ever really exploited the search feature, right? You don't ever think of Facebook as a search engine, which is weird. You think of Amazon as a search engine. You think of YouTube as a search engine. You think of Google as a search engine, but you don't think of Facebook as a search engine. And that's because it's just never really been good. And you could search for something, find it, but then that doesn't go anywhere. You just reach a dead end.
And it's weird because they have so much information about everyone.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't you benefit from all this information and make a good goddamn search engine?
Yeah, agreed completely. So that's that. It'd be interesting to see how that affects us, and keep your eyes open in the coming months. If you've got a Facebook business page, then do some research and see when it might be being implemented in your area, and let us know if you get your page updated and what kind of features you've got available. Right. Jetlenses aims to save you a bunch of money on your contact lenses. Now, this isn't the most exciting article in the world, but it is kind of exciting to me because it's about contact lenses, and I wear contact lenses every single day. The problem with contact lenses, and I remember discussing this with my dad actually just a few months ago when I was in the UK, and I was buying some new contact lenses. I was buying a bunch of contact lenses, like 9 months worth or something. And it just cost an absolute fortune. And the lady who was doing my eye test and things, she told me that I said to her, look, I want to have the latest and greatest contact lenses because I'm worried about the health of my eyes and stuff. So she gave me the latest contact lenses, and every year I end up upgrading my contact lenses because there's some new technology, they've devised a new way to create the lens that lets more oxygen pass through the lens and things like that, or keeps them more moist or whatever it may be. They're advancing really, really fast. But what's weird is that they're not normally as technology develops, normally prices stay more or less the same because as technology improves, production costs also go down, despite the fact that they're creating more advanced products, or lenses in this case. So I remember thinking, geez, so I used to pay something like $25 a month, £25 a month, or £25 for a month's worth of contact lenses. Now I'm paying £50 a month, right? It's more than doubled. And I think the biggest reason for that is that there have been these technology or production advances, but no focus on the reduction of costs for production. And so interestingly, this company Jetlenses, which is a Y-Combinator backed startup, which means that they must be doing something pretty innovative. They are trying to take on all major contact lens websites and including Walmart, I should add, because Walmart, but there's so many major companies sell contact lenses as well. You could probably even buy them on Amazon if you look at it. For sure. And their entire focus is on bringing down the cost of prescription products by automating the overhead associated with these businesses, in areas like prescription verification, order tracking, compliance and fulfillment, and then pass those savings on to customers. So I think it's interesting to see a new company come in, and try and disrupt this market. I wonder whether Jetlenses has anything to do with Jet, the company, the US company at all, but it doesn't seem so. It just seems strange that you would pick a name that's already very kind of well known in the e-commerce industry within the same country, but so that's that.
I'm also interested in how this would go because, recently I got my glasses. They're so annoying, and I didn't get used to them, to wearing them each day. It still feels weird. Yeah. In so many ways. So, I would be really interested in, how you can get rid of them and
use contact lenses instead.
Contact lenses, yeah.
So why did you have to get glasses? Do you have a filter in your glasses, or is it just the prescription?
I do. If I know that people can't see this, but I got blue light filtering, and reflection filtering.
That's the problem. You can't get that with contact lenses.
You can't, can you?
No. So right. While contact lenses might be a good idea for you just to help you see better in general, you won't get that blue light filtering and stuff like that. I don't think so, at least.
Well, then you can just buy a laptop with a display that has that integrated. I know a lot of the companies do that.
That's a very expensive option.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm the same though. That's why it interests me, because I wear my contact lenses far too much. I can't stand wearing glasses. I just don't feel comfortable in them. And so I've been wearing contact lenses now for 18 years.
18 years.
Every single day, basically. So, reducing the price of contact lenses, but still maintaining the quality is definitely of interest to me.
Well, you spent a lot of money. If you multiply $600, $50, let's say $50, multiplied it by 18, and you got yourself $9,000 for contact lenses so far. That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Shit.
So moving on to our final news article of the week. Is it the final one?
It is.
It is indeed. So, moving on, we have got Walmart's Walmart is bringing in a grocery picking robot called Alphabot into some of its warehouses. I guess they're running a bit of a trial with it. They've announced, when was it? Just about 5 days ago or so, that they're partnering with Alert Innovation to deploy Alphabot, which is a system completely designed for Walmart itself, that will be installed in a 20,000 square foot extension connected to the store, which also serves as a dedicated grocery pickup point with drive-through lanes for customers. So a bit of background to this. It seems that the new thing in groceries in the US at the moment is being able to pick up your groceries. So you can order groceries online, if you haven't got the time to go and do a proper shop, but then you can go and pick them up to save on the, kind of shipping expenses of the delivery costs. Excuse me. Where was I going with that? So this seems to be a new feature that, or a new function, or new, service that Walmart has released, and so has Amazon with Whole Foods. So Amazon has just announced, I think last week, that they will be applying this with Whole Foods as well, so that customers can go and pick up their grocery shopping, so they don't have to pay those delivery charges. Of course, what that then means is that if you're not charging customers for delivery charges, and you're not, but you've got people going and picking all of these products, right? If you've got a whole team of people going and selecting all the cucumbers and all the frozen fish and whatever else to prepare people's orders just so that they can come and pick them up themselves and not have to pay anything extra, then it's going to be a bit of a loss of money for these large companies. So automation is going to be absolutely vital in order to cut back on costs for these services that essentially don't make them any more money. They just add benefit to the user. And so Alphabot will be picking, apparently Alphabot can pick almost any food item at all. And of course, I'm sure it'll be getting better with time. And it literally just goes around the entire kind of warehouse, that is connected to the back of a supermarket store, and go and pick all of these items and then bring it to a human being who will then check all of the items and pack all of the items properly, and have them ready for the person to collect, going through this drive-through collection service. What this means is that people don't have to go and waste their time walking up and down aisles looking for food items. They can just stay in one spot and pack the bags as this little robot comes and brings them all the food. So, I think it's a cool little automation advance for Walmart. And I bet we'll be seeing something similar with Amazon in the coming months as well, especially if they're competing on these services.
Yeah, I'm really curious where this would go. I know Amazon has used robots for a long time now, I guess.
Have they? I don't really know much about that. Have they used them
Amazon
for
robotics? They even have Amazon robotics. You know, every little item in their warehouses can be picked with these, even if they're big or small.
Yeah.
So they're really into this. So.
Cool.
And I think Walmart did this to counteract that.
Yeah. I mean, they're direct competition, of course.
Yeah.
And most importantly, cut back on costs so that they can improve services. I mean, it's a really, I suppose, a battle of that as well. Whoever can cut back on costs the most can reinvest that money into improving their services and therefore, outrank the competition or beat the competition essentially.
Yeah.
So with that said, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, Christian.
No, that is it.
Then we have finished with this week's Opinews. All right, good to go. So, let's jump into this week's feature then. This week, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're going to be discussing how to beat 90% of the competition on Upwork. I kind of went silent there. On Upwork. how to beat 90% of the competition on Upwork. So this is, when Christian and I started working together, a couple of years ago now, I'd been working.
It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Yeah. I was freelancing myself, and Christian was running, the agency, and I'd been developing different techniques to try and close business on Upwork. And, one of the things that really fascinated me was, what was it called? I can't think what the name of it was now. Drunk, reviewer or something like that. I'm looking it up right now. Yes, there's basically this guy that I'd seen previously, because had I used it? No, I hadn't. Basically, you get this guy who would, he was making a bunch of money by doing reviews of people's websites while being drunk. And he would record his screen and he'd sit back, have a couple of beers. His friends would be in the background. And he was obviously a very clever guy, right? He obviously knew his stuff. He knew how to code. He knew about everything he was doing. He'd go through and inspect the website, check its responsiveness, all this kind of stuff. But it became incredibly funny because obviously someone who's had a couple of drinks is going to be much more crude and brutal with their analysis of your website. And so he would really review these things, and he'd spend about 5 minutes digging through their website, and he'd highlight all the user problems and all this kind of stuff. And so a bunch of companies had contracted this guy to do it, because not only would they discover these things, but it would also be good publicity for them, because they could then use the video. And he would promote the video obviously on his YouTube channel and things, so it would help them get some exposure. But this guy was essentially making a bunch of money by drinking beers and tearing apart people's websites. And so, yeah. And so when I started working as a freelancer on Upwork, I decided that I was going to try and apply the same thing, but without the alcohol being involved. And really, it's kind of clear to me that when you're submitting a proposal, or you're applying to a job, on any job really, it doesn't matter whether it's a freelance job, or whether you're applying to a full, a proper job. You need to stand out from the crowd in some way, right? It's no good. It doesn't matter if you write a 10,000 word proposal, compared to a 500 word proposal. Right. So you need to think to yourself, how on earth can you stand out? And that's what I started saying to myself. How can I make myself stand out from the rest of the crowd? What can I do that will make people notice me when they've got 15 different people applying to their job, or maybe even more? And it became very clear to me after having watched this previously. It was with a previous company of mine, because I was considering contracting this guy to do a review of our website. I think basically what I'd done is I'd contracted some other people to do reviews. But they were just for my own sake. It wasn't as a publicity thing. It was just for me to learn about the user experience of our website. And I came across this guy. I'm going to have to find him drunk website reviews, or let me see. The user is drunk, right? The user is drunk.com. Let me just write that down quickly.
Oh, that's funny.
So if you haven't heard of The User is Drunk, head over to theuserisdrunk.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. And it's exactly that. It's this dude just reviewing stuff. But anyway, this made me then think that when I was applying for these jobs, if there was a way that I could find their business URL, because it's not always possible. A lot of the time when people, publish their jobs, they don't have their URLs, they don't have their business information. Sometimes they even use fake names and things just because they don't want to reveal too much information. But right. if with a little bit of investigation, if you can go and search around on LinkedIn and things like that, and you can manage to find their website, then you've basically got the opportunity to give them a lot of value, before they've even contracted you. And essentially that's what, I think when you're trying to win a job, you want to surprise people. And you can do that in multiple ways. You can do that by being funny and quirky, right? You can do that by having a lot of strong opinion, which I will come on to in a moment as well. And you can also do it by adding value, right? And by creating a video of myself reviewing their website, I realized that I could add a lot of value to these people. And so if someone published a job where they were looking to improve the conversion rate of their website, or they were looking to get more sales, or they wanted to work with someone in marketing, which is obviously what I was dedicating myself to, then I could go and spend 10 minutes and go through every aspect of their website and absolutely tear it apart. We actually went on, when we started applying this within the agency, we started to call them website teardowns. And it is because I would make sure that I hadn't ever seen the website. I wouldn't go in and look through the website beforehand. It would be my first honest opinion of the website. And so I'd go through, and the great thing about this as well is because you haven't met the person, you don't have to worry about being too harsh. You can say, this looks shocking. This looks really bad. This doesn't work at all. What the fuck have they done here? This doesn't make sense. You can be really, really crude. And the truth is, some people might not like that, but most people do actually like.
As we well know, some people didn't like it in the past. But
who?
You don't really need those clients. If you encounter a client that can't handle the truth, then move on.
True. And that's a very good point as well. It's a good way to filter out clients. At the end of the day, you as a freelancer, you need to be able to express your opinion, and you need to be able to be as honest as possible with your client. And if you've got a client who can't handle the truth when you've got something to say to them, or not even the truth, but your opinion, then that's going to be a really, really painful person to work with. Honestly, I can't remember anyone who's written back to us and been upset with this at all.
No, indeed, but what I was referring to was being really straightforward with any idea you have, and being absolutely honest and crude, so to speak. The people can get offended if you directly attack their product or
yes, we've had that in the past.
Yeah,
we've definitely had that in the past, which is why this works as a good filter process to be able to make sure that you end up working with someone who's not going to get offended when you do that stuff. And so it's a fantastic opportunity for you to be very crude, right? You can go through their website and basically just tear the whole thing apart and find every problem you can possibly find with the website. From the content, you can read through it, and things like if you're going through the homepage, you can say, I'm bored, there's too much content here, this is boring, where does this call to action go? You just literally want to just go through every single part of the website in as quick of a time as possible, and really approach it as a user. How would you as a user go through their website? And if you've got a big button on the homepage and it's calling your attention, then you're going to click on it. So if that then doesn't take you anywhere interesting, then you're going to be pissed off as a user. So you need to express those things when that happens. So the benefit of doing this is that it allows you to give a lot of value in a very short space of time. You can do this, you can record it in 10 minutes, right? A proposal will probably take you 30, if you want to write a good proposal, it'll take you between 30 and 60 minutes to write. And I know that because I've done far too many proposals on Upwork.
Or even more if the project is bigger.
Right. Whereas this is something you can do, obviously you still need to write a brief proposal with it, but this is something you can do in about 10 minutes, literally. I used to set myself a limit of 10 minutes for this. And you can provide a bunch of value in a very short space of time. You also get to reveal your knowledge, right? Because as someone watches you navigate a website, as someone watches you highlight different issues, you are displaying the fact that you know that they are issues, that you know how it should be, and that that's not the correct way for things to be done. So it kind of works, it works in two different ways there. So someone who's receiving that has, if you think they've got 15 different applicants, from one applicant, they've got a video of one of them that is giving a bunch of value. there are just so many different things. I'm going to go over a few different things actually, because you've also got the fact that if you make sure that your face is also recorded in the video, right, in the bottom of the corner of the screen or something, then it also gives them the opportunity to see your face. Now, there is something psychological about seeing someone's face that makes you feel more indebted to them. Is that a word? Indebted? It makes you feel like you have more of a connection with them in some way. Hearing someone's voice also makes you feel like you know them better. So I know that if someone sees my face as I'm going through this and they hear me talking, they essentially know me better than they do know any of the other applicants, right? So I'm instantly closer to the potential client than any other applicant, just from the fact that they've seen me and they've heard me, which they haven't done with anyone else.
This makes you as the reviewer a bit more trustworthy. From my perspective, at least. I remember when you first did it, when you joined the company, I was freaking amazed. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And the fact that, a lot of people hide, on the desk, so to speak, when they apply, to any job. But, seeing you, hearing you and, ripping up those websites, it was lovely to watch.
You know them, the people know you better, you've given value, and you've shown that you've got opinion. And that's something else I want to come on to now, because I think it's very, very important. But just to wrap up on the videos there, because this is something you can apply to a lot of different, types of jobs. You don't necessarily just have to, obviously a website works well because you can create a video of you actually assessing their existing business. But even if you're a video editor, or if you're a designer, okay, you're not going to be able to design anything on this video. You're not going to be able to assess some of their previous designs. Maybe you can, but let's say you can't. You can still create a short video of yourself and just talk to the camera and say, hey, my name's Charlie. This is what I do. I've seen your project. It's really interesting, but here's some of the problems I think you're going to face. It's going to be really difficult to be able to do this and do that. And what we'll have to do to be able to fix that problem is we'll do something like that. You've really got to make sure you do this and that and the other. And just essentially all you need to say is what you would write down in any proposal, but you're saying it yourself to a camera. So just that alone is going to make a massive difference. Let me tell you, the 99% of people do not do this on Upwork. And it's so simple. You can record the video and you can upload it to Google Drive, which I'm sure most people that are listening to this are using. You can upload it to Wistia. We used to use Wistia actually because you can have 3 videos on Wistia for free. So we'd actually we'd kind of cycle them, and the oldest video we'd delete, and then we'd create a new video and upload it. You can just use this you could upload them to YouTube. You can upload these almost anywhere and then add the link to your proposal, right? So at the very top, you can say, hey, my name's Charlie. Thank you so much for posting this job. I'm really interested in it. And the truth is it's right in my domain because I've been working in this area for years and years now and had some great experience with previous clients working on similar projects. Just before we continue, I've made this short video for you assessing your website or assessing the project. And I think you'd find it really interesting. Just click the link below to view it. And then you add the link to your Google Drive, to YouTube, to Wistia, to wherever it is, right? And people can then go and see the video. So it's a really, really simple thing to do that will take you no more than 10 minutes, and it will literally increase your chances of winning business by 5 times, 6 times. And in order to kind of see that and assess that, all you have to do is think what you would, if you were posting a job on Upwork. You may have done so, you might not have done so, but I'm sure you can imagine that when you've got 10 different applicants and suddenly you've got one who's made a video and that you can see that they're a quirky person, you can see their character, you can see that they've got opinion, you can see that they've got knowledge and understanding of the project, through a short 10-minute video, then who are you going to be most eager to speak with on the phone to do an actual interview with? the person who's made the video. And it might not work out for you in the end. It might not be the right job. It might not be the right client. But at least you're going to have given yourself the best chance of getting on the phone with that person and being able to prove yourself to them a little bit more than you already have done, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of companies want to know the person before asking for their skills and what they actually know.
Exactly.
That's the best way you could do it. I like it. I love it.
We then applied this in the agency. So I joined the agency just a couple of months after starting freelancing, and we applied this as part of our kind of lead acquisition approach. And for every single job application or contract application or proposal that we would submit, we would create one of these videos. And we just had incredibly good results with it. Incredibly good.
We had a big conversion rate, a really big conversion rate. I think we were talking more than 10-20%. So out of 10 videos, we got 10 hot leads that we got in a second conversation with.
Yeah, definitely. It would, it'd at least be 1 in 10. 1 in 10 job proposals we would win the work for. And that doesn't mean that we wouldn't get on the phone. We get on the phone with many of the people, but it just wouldn't necessarily be right for us. A lot of the times we've actually ended up not wanting to work with people after speaking with them as well and learning a little bit more about their project. But ultimately, the result has been that we have never, in the past 2 years, we have never struggled to get work. We've been very fortunate in the past 7 or 8 months, probably more now, Christian. It's nearly a year that we've been since we left the agency. In the last 10 months or so, we haven't, or at least in the last 7 or 8 months, we haven't had to apply for any jobs. We've been very fortunate that everything's come through referrals.
Indeed. But we actually got too much work at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it has never been a challenge for us to get new work. Just due to these strategies, I think, really.
Indeed.
So that brings me on to one more thing I think is incredibly important when it comes to applying for jobs in general. And again, if you are listening to this and you're looking to go and get a new job working for a company, you've got a job interview or something, and I think this is just as applicable. And that is having a lot of opinion. Having a lot of opinion about anything that you say.
Indeed. Don't be a yes man.
Not being a yes man or yes woman, not being a pushover, not being a pleaser, right? I can't tell you the number of times that I've gotten on the phone with new leads and they've told me, right, we're really struggling to get sales, but, and the reason that we're struggling to get sales is because our AdWords campaigns aren't optimized enough. And I can't tell you the number of times that something like that's happened and I've turned around and gone, no, I don't think that's the problem. I think it's something completely different. And the problem here is that people are normally really scared of doing that because you're trying to get the business, right? You're trying to get the work. And so you want to please the person. So it's so easy just to say, oh yes, you're so right. You're so right. Of course, let's do that. Let's do that. But ultimately for many reasons here. Number one, you don't want to agree to do work that you don't feel confident will actually solve the problem. So just agreeing with your lead's opinion is kind of stupid in that sense. But second of all, there's something really powerful about having a lot of opinion. It makes you seem authoritative, right? And so all of a sudden, even if your opinion, even if you don't have, even if you're not like 100% certain on your opinion, what am I trying to say? What I want to say is that it's better to have an opinion and be wrong and say sorry in the future than to not have an opinion at all, in my mind. And I've seen amazing results with that. Just having having a really strong opinion about things. And you can see that even on my, Upwork profile. I haven't been on it for ages now, but I think there's still a video on there. because Upwork released a feature about a year and a half ago where you could upload a video to your profile so people can also watch a video of you there, which for me was an instant thing I had to do because it was this opportunity. Not only it was this opportunity for people to see me and get to know my strong opinion without me even applying to their jobs, right? So they could come and just discover my page and they'd invite me to jobs. And I want to highlight at this point, I am getting about between 1 to 2 invitations to apply to jobs every single day on Upwork at the moment. And
no effort.
And 99.9% of them I just decline straight away because obviously we don't need the work, and we haven't needed the work for 7 or 8 months. But all these little different things are what has helped so much. And in my video on my profile, my only objective was for people to see me, and hear a really strong opinion from me. And so I start off the video saying that people are focusing on the wrong metrics, people are obsessed with the wrong metrics in life, and that is inhibiting the growth of their business, and that what they really should be focusing on is A, B, and C. And it's as simple as that. But just because I have challenged what other people think, and maybe I haven't even challenged what other people think, but I've at least made it seem as though I'm challenging what other people think because that's the story I'm telling. Suddenly people have more respect for you. Suddenly people see you as an authoritative figure, and opinion is the best way to do that. And I say that as someone, right? This has always been very difficult for me as well because I'm 26 years old now, but I look like a 12-year-old child. And so it's very difficult when people...
That's what some clients said to you.
I've literally had a client say that to me in the past. And so I've always had this kind of, it's not been too concerning to me, but it's always been a little bit, I've always been worried that people would prejudge me just because I look very young. And you know what? Having a strong opinion just takes absolutely all of those, prejudgments out of the window. They're non-existent because, essentially when people are looking to hire someone, they're looking for their mind. They're looking for the right mind. They're looking for the person who's got the right intelligence or the right thought process to be able to complete the job successfully. And someone who's got a strong opinion about how to do something is much more convincing than someone who says, oh yeah, I've worked in this a lot. I've worked a lot in this before. Yeah, we can work on optimizing your Google ads if that's what you want to do. And then after that, we could probably do this and do that as well. Let me go and do a bit of research on where we should go with it because I'm not really sure at the moment. But I've got loads of experience in this, so I'm sure we'll be able to get some kind of solution. Right? Even if that's what you're thinking, even if you're thinking we need to go and do some research on this and really understand it better, don't say it. Wait. Give some opinion in that moment. Give some opinion.
And another thing would be stand your damn ground. I remember we had a client in the past, if you remember that US client, that started being rude and then started swearing at us.
Yes.
And we stood our ground, and I took lead at some point and said, look, we are all grown up men. We can take a bidding, but this must not happen at any time in the future, or this stops now.
Exactly.
But a lot of people would take that. And what happened next was the fact that client got a lot more respect. He actually respected
This is the thing, right? Yeah, this is the thing.
Because you mentioned that, and that's how you get respect. You stand your ground, and you stand your ground for what you believe in.
Yeah, I agree.
It might not be true, but that's if you can bring arguments to the table, then.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I should add here a massive caveat, right? All of these things are only viable as techniques for closing business if you can then follow up and perform. Right. If you
stay behind your words. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So if you're going to have a bunch of opinion on stuff and then you're not going to perform, then that's just useless. You're not going to get anywhere. You have to believe in yourself and believe in your knowledge. And And you have to be willing to take back your opinion as well. You have to be willing to accept when you've gone wrong and admit that to clients and things like that. But if you don't have the quality of work, the quality of product, essentially, to be able to back up your authoritative figure, then you're just going to screw yourself over. And I think that on the one hand, many people have the quality of work and have the experience, but doubt themselves so much that they then don't have strong opinions, or they don't push themselves, they don't present themselves as an authoritative figure. But at the same time, I think that's a massive issue. I think those are the people who need to start getting a little bit more self-belief in what they do and the quality of the work that they produce. But I think at the same time, there are many people who don't have the quality of work, they don't have the experience and the knowledge, and will come in with far too much opinion and be essentially arrogant, and not be able to back that up with the work that they produce at the end of the day.
And that's how you should act in life, not just business, not just getting new business. You gotta stay strongly opinionated and back your words.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember I had a really interesting transition so I was running a previous business. I was running my paleo foods company, and I had a lot of family troubles going on at home. My girlfriend was very, very sick, and basically I needed to go and get a job to be able to. The company wasn't really, it was paying for itself, but it wasn't giving me enough of an income to be able to support the whole family. She had 2 kids as well, and so I went to get a job in sales, right? Because I knew that I sucked at sales, so I thought I'll go and focus all my efforts on sales. I used to suffer really, really badly from anxiety on phone calls, and so I went and got a job in sales to try and overcome that. So I thought if I'm on the phone 300 times a day, then surely one phone call won't make me have these anxiety attacks it was making me have before. And so I went and I spent 3 months learning how to sell. And after that, things were getting worse and worse at home, so I decided that I was going to have to work from home so I could be there to support my family a little bit better. And I was going to go into freelancing. The problem was I didn't have any experience at all freelancing anything. I didn't have any services. I didn't have any skills that I could provide to people. Any sellable skills, at least. I'd been working for myself for the past 5 years as a man who wears many hats. I didn't have any specific skill. Just had a bit of experience with a lot of different things. And so I decided that it didn't matter, though, that I was going to use my sales skills that I'd learned in these 3 months to sell a service of any kind. And I chose digital marketing because it was something that I'd been, I suppose, applying to my own companies, but more than that, I'd been listening or submerging myself, surrounding myself with lots of podcasts and blogs and things like that from people who were very, very qualified in digital marketing in order to know what techniques and things I could apply to my own businesses. So I had some kind of knowledge there, even though I didn't have the experience there, or perhaps the results-based experience. And so I remember my first few phone calls. Literally my very first phone call, my very first interview. I closed the job, and this is a job doing digital marketing for someone when I had never done digital marketing in my life. And all I did with that phone call was I went in and I had some strong opinion, and they wanted to know how I could help them grow their company. I think the very first one was for an email marketing sequence. They wanted me to build out an email marketing automation sequence. And I came in with a bunch of different ideas and opinion on how they should do it, and what they should do that 99% of other people don't do, and why that will really help them, and all this kind of stuff. And that strong opinion ultimately helped me win the business, win the contract.
Again, but it was backed up by information. It's not just bullshitting around, because you get a lot of opinionated people that are plain retarded. Yeah,
100%.
Right? So you got to be careful. When you talk, you got to back it up.
Definitely,
because you can get into so much trouble that you can get cornered, and if you get cornered, then it goes to shit.
Definitely, yeah. No, you got to support what you say at the end of the day. I mean, Here's the thing though, right? Going in with this opinion-based, strategy will help you win the business. You'll definitely win the business, but you're not, if you're kind of a half decent person, then you're not just out there to win business and then do poor quality work. You want to actually follow through and produce the work. So it's not a case of not being able to win the business. If you go in with a strong opinion to any interview, I think it will give you a much better chance of winning the business, winning the contract, getting the job. But ultimately, through your own morals, I'm sure you want to perform and actually provide results at the end of the day. So you've got to make sure that you can back it up with that real knowledge and ability to perform. So I think that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you think? Any other tips we could add, Christian, for people for winning business on Upwork or any kind of business really for that matter?
Well, I think we covered most everything. We went through the fact that you got to be skilled. If you don't have those skills, learn a few skills. You got to be strongly opinionated. You got to back up what you say. Don't be rude when you say it. There's two ways you can say things, and there can be two types of responses.
Yeah,
I've seen that before. You can be straightforward and say exactly what you think, but in a nicer way, and then you can say it in a rude way where people get offended.
Yeah,
if they get offended, then you're not able to send the right message.
Yeah.
Even if you're right.
And I think there's a big difference as well between being arrogant and being rude. I think a little bit of arrogance in your professional life is good. Right? Just a little bit of arrogance, not too much. You've got to be very, very careful. It's a fine line because as soon as you get a little bit too arrogant, then you're treading in the territory of being rude. And that's when you're going to you'll blow every opportunity you have. So it's just having that little bit of arrogance, enough so to say, I know what I'm doing here. I really know what I'm doing. And I've got opinions that you don't have. Therefore, I'm going to add a lot of value to you.
Yeah.
I had this with, my sister was actually, my stepsister was applying to a job a couple of months ago. Or this was probably back in June 2018. She was applying to a new job for a big, soft drinks company in the UK. And she had to prepare a presentation for the job interview. And one of the questions was something like, which drinks company do you admire and why? Or something like that. And she was really worried. She kept saying to me, what do they want me to say? What do they want me to say here? What company should I say? And why should I say it? And should I say that, should I pick a company that does something that they do so I can highlight that I admire a different company for doing something that this company also does, right? To please them. And what I said to her was, don't do that in the slightest. I said, I said to her, it doesn't matter if what you say, if the person interviewing you doesn't agree with anything you say. That doesn't matter. What matters,
you're not cheap, at least.
What matters is that you have an opinion and you can back it up, right? So if you're going to say, I most admire Coca-Cola company because, and then go through all the reasons why, and your reasons are valid, even if they don't agree with you, you've still given a strong enough opinion to say that, hey, I know what I'm talking about here. This is my opinion, and I'm not here to be messed with. I'm authoritative. And I think that's really important. I think that can be applied to so many different areas of life. It's the same kind of concept you have with a thesis or writing studies or writing essays at university or something like that. You have, your objective when you write an essay is not to write about what people want to hear. Your objective is to pick an opinion, discover something yourself and explore it and back it up, right? there's no right or wrong when it comes to writing an essay. What makes something correct is your ability to support what you've said, right? So ultimately, veering away from the status quo is going to be much more powerful. It's going to help you stand out, but as long as you can support it. And I think that's that.
Indeed.
So to wrap up on that then, and we'll call it a day for today because I'm going to go and probably get back into bed very, very soon. Number one, when applying to jobs, when applying for contracts, when applying for freelance work, whatever it may be, have opinion. Don't try and be a people pleaser. Be someone with their own opinion who stands on their own 2 feet, but just make sure that you can support what you are saying. When it comes to Upwork and applying for jobs on Upwork, use the medium of video. Use the medium of audio visual, right? It is something that 99.9% of people do not do. A lot of the reason for that is that people are concerned that because there are a lot of non-native English speakers on freelance platforms as well, and a lot of people are concerned about revealing that a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're not confident enough, and I know I'm not an English speaker, and I know I had this issue before, but I said, what the hell?
Right.
I gotta earn some bucks.
Exactly. And so a lot of people kind of try and hide behind their words on these kind of platforms. And if you are willing, even if you are foreign, Christians from Romania, if Christian creates a video that says, hey, I'm here. Sure, I'm not a native English speaker, but I'm here. I've got opinion. I know what I'm talking about. You can see my face. You can hear my voice. Let's do some work together. That's going to make him stand out from every native English speaker on the entire platform. If they're not submitting videos.
Indeed. But they could even, bash on your accent or anything like that. But at the end of the day, it all comes to skills. That's what I have to offer. Well, people don't give a shit about your accent, so stop fearing that.
Yeah,
just go for it.
And in doing that, if there's someone who's going to bash on you having an accent, or if there's someone who's going to be judgmental for whatever reason, then good. Let them be judgmental as quickly as possible. All you have to do is create a quick 10-minute video. Let them judge you. And if they judge you and don't want to work with you, then fine. You've managed to filter that person out of your leads, your potential leads. So,
indeed.
You're going to save yourself a lot of time by doing that. So record videos in any way you can. If you're working in marketing, which I should imagine that a lot of people listening to this have the potential to work in marketing, especially if you're kind of an entrepreneur and you're starting your own businesses and things, it should be something that you have quite a bit of knowledge about. Then record yourself dissecting things, dissecting the website in any way you can, dissecting maybe if you're a social media expert, try and find their social media platforms, their Facebook page and things like that, and go and pull it apart and start saying, why haven't you got this here? I can't believe you haven't got your description is really short. It's a shame because you could do so much more with this. You haven't got any reviews, whatever it is. If you are a video editor, then perhaps they've submitted a video of something they've done previously and you can assess that. Anything you can assess is always great, but even if you can't assess anything, at least present yourself on camera, and just give a brief introduction to yourself, what your opinions are. If you're a video editor and they've published a job for creating an animated video for a website or something like that, then get on video and talk about what you think they should do, not what you think they want you to say, but what you think will be the best approach to go ahead and create this video. And perhaps you could even challenge some of the things that they've put in the job the job posting. Perhaps you can even challenge some of those things and say, look, I know you mentioned this in the job posting, but honestly, I think that it'd be better to do it this way. I think we could really see some great results. I think you also haven't thought about this, which would be something else. Perhaps we should create a 5-minute video and a 30-second video so we can use a 30-second video for something else. And, just adding value, and challenging them. Because they're going to challenge you. So,
for sure.
So there you go. I think those are some great techniques to really stand out from the crowd and literally beat 90% of the competition on Upwork. We've seen some great results from it. We've made a living, from doing it for the past 2 years, or more now. And ultimately, as I mentioned at the beginning of this section, the reason for needing to be able to close these contracts and have more people wanting to work with you, and therefore being able to raise your hourly fees or your monthly rates or whatever it is so that you can have more time, and more money and more freedom to be able to build whatever it is you want to build, whatever software, whatever e-commerce store, whatever tool, whatever app. Getting this process nailed for closing new business will ultimately give you the freedom to be able to go and spend more time and more money on chasing a dream, I suppose. So I think that's about everything, Christian. Anything you want to add?
That's about it. I don't know. Keep calm and enjoy life.
Keep calm and enjoy life. Wise words. As always, my friends, we would really appreciate it if you could go and leave a cheeky little review on iTunes. It really helps us get some more reach. Head over to our Facebook page as well. We're trying to bulk up the Facebook page a little bit. Head over to facebook.com/take traction. I will leave that link in the show notes. Head over there and let us know what you thought about today's show. Let us know if you are a freelancer and what kind of challenges you're facing. Perhaps it's not to do with closing business. Perhaps it's to do with accounting or whatever else it could be. Let us know what your challenges are. Let us know if you're interested in freelancing. Perhaps you've got a 9-to-5 job at the moment and you're looking to make the transition to becoming a freelancer. Let us know and we'll be glad to help in any way we can at all. So just head over to, I'll be publishing this podcast on Facebook. It should be at the top of the page. Or if not, if you're listening to this at some point in the future, then scroll down through the page and see if you can find it. But leave us a little comment or just publish straight onto the page, whatever you want to do, and let us know what problems you are facing. We'd be glad to help. And that's that. I think that's everything.
That wraps it up.
As always, I've been Charlie Center.
And I've been Cristiano.